What is the point of getting down on their level, entering into their world, letting them dictate the TV shows that you watch or the games that you play or how you're interacting? Why would we enter into their world? Welcome to the Intentional Father podcast, where us fathers parent our children, not by accident, but with intent. I'm your host, Aaron Stroman. Hey, welcome to the episode. Today we're going to be talking about incarnational fatherhood. The idea of incarnational fatherhood. I'm going to, in a little bit, tell you where that word comes from, what it means. But here's the big idea. If you're an incarnational father, you are going to enter the world of your children. Leave your big adult world as a dad, enter into your kid's world. That's what it means to be an incarnational father. Why does it mean that? Well, if we take the word incarnation, you've probably heard this term before. Sometimes different religions use it. Reincarnation is like after you die, you leave the world, but to reincarnate, you would come back in some other life form. Maybe it's an animal, maybe you're another person, or to reincarnate. I personally don't subscribe to that belief, but that word, the incarnation, means to put on flesh. The incarnation, the carnate. Think of like carne asada, it's meat. In the Spanish word, why is it called that carne? Because it's like flesh, meat. We put on flesh to come into the world. In the Christian faith, the incarnation is when God, whose spirit put on flesh and came into our world. That would be the person of Jesus. So that's the incarnation in the Christian perspective. So taking that idea of stepping out of your world and going into someone else's world is where the incarnational father idea comes from. And here's the big idea for this. As dads, it's easy for us to see ourselves in a different world from our child. And instead of entering into their world, we expect them to enter into our world. It's like, you're a little kid, you need to grow up and be an adult like me. So I'm just going to have you rise up to adult status. Now, there's nothing wrong with having expectations for kids to grow and mature. That's good. There's nothing wrong for guiding and leading and even defining success as a parent, as raising children to become successful adults. That's good. But we need to bridge that gap between adulthood and childhood. We need to bridge that gap. And I'm going to talk about why, but here's the reason, the purpose of how we do that. Put yourself in the shoes of a little kid, right? You're 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall, and you're looking up to your dad. He looks like a giant. He's like 4 times as tall as you, bigger than you, stronger than you. He could pick you up with ease. Pick you up with ease. Even throws you in the air. That's a lot of fun. He can do anything. He's like a giant. It's hard for a kid to relate to that. And yeah, I know I want to grow up and be like that, but even if I stand on my tippy toes, I don't even come close. I'm at his kneecaps. Sometimes fathers, it's like there's this, I don't know if pride's the right word. There's maybe too much dignity to step into the kids' world. It's like, I'll let you come up to me, but I'm not going to go down to you. Even in conversation, you'll see dads, I see videos all the time. Moms are good at like doing the cooing and goo goo ga talk with the babies. And dads will sit there and be like, well, son, what do you think about the stock market today? Should we buy, sell? And they're talking to them adults. And of course, the kid doesn't understand mom or dad, but there's an interaction there. But one is incarnational, like you're going to the child's level. The other one is the opposite, where you're expecting the child to understand where you're at. So fathers, become a little undignified and enter into the world of your children. What does that look like? First of all, literally getting down on their level. If your kid's playing with a little toy on the ground, get down on their level. Sit down on the ground so your eye level is the same. So you have to drop down because they can't get tall like you. So you have to drop down and play with the toys with them. Scoot the cars back and forth. Roll the ball back and forth. Engage in the activities your kids want to engage in. When they're little, that's like playing with a stuffed animal or rolling the ball back and forth. when they get a little bit older, maybe they're not interested in playing catch with a baseball glove and baseball. Maybe they want to throw a frisbee. So engage in them, because you're entering into their world. You're not having them enter into your world. That's the idea of incarnational fatherhood. So you throw the frisbee instead of the baseball. It's not a big deal. One of the examples I have is my son got into Legos at a very young age. I was never a big Lego guy, and even I had some Legos back in the day, but they were just the classic square and rectangle. Nothing like the elaborate configurations Lego's putting out today. And I would sit down with my son and we'd sort through the parts, and I was kind of his part finder, and we'd build Legos together. And sometimes he needed a little more help than just separating parts, because we'd have to, building the Millennium Falcon that was a multi-day project. That took a while. But what was I doing? I was entering into his world, engaging in the activities that he wanted to do, playing the games that they want to play, reading the books that they want to read. By nature, I would want to read C.S. Lewis, Chronicles of Narnia to my kids, but sometimes they just want to read a different book. See Spot Run, right? Simple books that have like the textures and the big flip pages and all that stuff. Another thing that kids have these days are the like little tents and structures that go in the room. They're like a development of those pads you lay on when you're a baby and swat the little hanging down things. But little play shelters that are essentially tents that are in the kids' rooms. But as an adult, you would have to get on your hands and knees and crawl into one of these things to be able to play. When dads do that, you are entering into your kids' world and you're playing with them on their level. That's so good. Now, what is the point of the incarnational fatherhood idea? What is the point of getting down on their level, entering into their world, letting them dictate the TV shows that you watch or the games that you play or how you're interacting? Why would we enter into their world? Again, it's not to keep them there, but when we get down on their level, all of a sudden, they're able to relate to us. Now this giant of a man that's dad is down on my level, looking me eye to eye, playing with the same toys I'm playing with. They're able to relate with us. And when kids start to relate with mom and dad, with fathers, what's happening? That word relate is the beginning of that word relationship. And you're developing the relationship. Meet them where they're at. And now, once you have the relationship, we can raise expectations of where we would like to see them go, raising children to become adults. But it starts by entering into their world. So that's why this idea is so important. So dads, become undignified, enter into your kids' world. You may feel a little silly or childish, but that's good. It's good for you and it's good for your child. So I pray success as you step into the incarnational fatherhood model, as you get on your kids' level and build those relationships. Wish you all the best. We'll catch you on the next episode.